Lovely to see you all on this rather blustery Sunday morning. And this kind of suits the theme, actually, this weather. Suits the theme. Oh, someone else has popped in there already. There we go. Come on in, come on in. Yeah, so the theme is the autumn equinox, which was on Tuesday. And the autumn equinox is that day when day and night, light and dark are perfectly aligned. There's a perfect balance between the two of them. So we'll be doing a little bit of that throughout the practice. We'll be balancing the movement with the rest, doing a little bit of yang movement, which is a more masculine, energetic movement with some sun salutes, but also balancing that with a slower yin, softer start and finish. Welcome, welcome those of you who joined us. So autumn is my favourite season. I really love autumn, and the element, Ayurveda is a sister science to yoga, and the element that Ayurveda attributes to autumn is wind, which is appropriate on the last couple of days that we've had. And Ayurveda works in opposition. So if the elements associated with autumn are air and wind and movement, then we need to think about grounding and slowing down. So again, we'll try and balance that out in the practice today. But I just wanted to start by reading you something, the most beautiful description of autumn I think I've read in a long time. And it was from the Times last weekend by one of the journalists who lives in the countryside. And this was a description of an autumnal day, and I think it's just beautiful. I walked over a soft carpet of needles and rounded a corner. The path led away among patchy splashes of light. Beneath boughs of beech, oak and pine, the ground was dust dry, aromatic and tinged with flecks of rust. Sometimes the world reduces to falling things, an acorn, a leaf, the coppery speckled wings of a butterfly. What is it we love about this time of the year? The summer is sinking away, and days like this feel like the most extraordinary gift. A mixture of sadness with an undercurrent, a strange kind of nostalgic joy. Is it that suddenly we can pause and properly see time passing, our own mortality coming into focus, the unbearable lightness of letting go, the warmth of memory, and the impending colder days ahead? Humans evolved, after all, to be alert to the changing seasons, to harvest and to gather in. But before that, we have these moments of glory and colour and gifts. And with this last comes the scent, this evening stronger than I've ever experienced it, as if a great cloud of it collected, trapped under the rough embrace of tree limbs. An invisible froth of it danced through the brambles. Blackberries, juicy, careless, fresh ones and rotting ones, their intense drupelets sprouting into the sun and the shade, some reachable, some protected on their lethal twigs, making sure we can, like the birds, only take a few. Their scent filled my nose, as if their taste was already bursting on my tongue. If it had a colour, it would be a deep purplish red, magenta, velvety, like a rich Mediterranean wine. I just thought that was one of the most beautiful descriptions of this most beautiful seasons I've read in a long time. So with that in mind, let's come to a comfortable seated position. Then if you can, sitting with your right shin crossed in front of your left shin. But if that's not available today, stretch the legs out, prop yourself up against a piece of furniture, whatever works for you. And settling the hands wherever feels comfortable. Might be on your knees, might be on your lap this morning. You might alternate between the two when the shoulders get a little tired. And just allowing the eyes to softly close, or maybe just bringing the gaze to the floor in front of you. Allowing everything in the room around you to just drop out the focus. So as we use this practice to balance our energies, the movement with the rest, the yin and the yang, we'll start just by finding balance just across your sit bones. You might want a little move from side to side or back and forth until you find that perfect balance between the right and the left side of your sit bones there. So balance isn't all about standing on one leg. Far more profound than that. So when you found that balance between the left and the right, can you also find that balance between the front and the back? Not leaning too far back, rounding the lower back, and neither extending the chest forwards and overarching through the spine. So see if you can find that subtle balance between the front of the body and the back of the body. And then finally that balance between the up and the down. So as you receive that inhale, feeling that lifting you, almost lifting you up and out of your hips a little bit, feeling the front of the body open, become more spacious and light. And then balancing that as you release the exhale and allowing the weight to drop down into your sit bones. So we're feeling a little bit more grounded during this season of air and movement. And so with the body in that state of equilibrium, see if you can bring a little bit of balance to your breath now. How many of us pay a little bit more heed to one part of our breath? We perhaps inhale more strongly, or conversely, it's the exhale that's more dominant. And we need both. We need the energy of that inhale, helping to rejuvenate and revive us. But we need to balance that with a full and deep exhale, which helps to release tension, to soften. So see if you can just balance out the breath. You don't need to count, you don't need to overcomplicate it, just kind of feel or sense if you're giving as much energy, length and depth to each part of your breath there. So without standing on one leg, we're feeling balanced. And trying to keep that balance throughout the breath. As we progress through the class today, we just bring the hands down alongside the body, reaching up towards the ceiling, and just lengthen all four sides of the waist, the sides, the front and the back. Let's take an inhale. As you exhale, we'll take a little twist to the right. One hand directly in front, one hand directly behind you, almost like an imaginary line drawn between the hands there. If that front hand doesn't quite touch the floor, just rest it on your ankle or your shin there. Turning through the upper back. Just making sure again that you've not rocked the weight across your sit bones. You still maintain that balance between the left and the right. And evenness across your collarbones there, drawing that right shoulder back. We'll keep the body turned and angled to the right, but just bring your left hand onto your thigh or your knee as you reach that right arm up and overhead. So we've got a little bit of side stretch and a twist going on, so that gaze is still towards the right, but we're arcing the arm overhead. Again, trying to keep that balance across the sit bones. Let's come all the way back up through center and hook right arm on top of left. So we're coming into eagle arms. So if that isn't for you today, and that's tight on shoulders early on in the practice, just uncross everything and bring your palms and forearms together. Lovely. So slide the elbows forwards and up, and at the same time, drop the shoulders down away from the ears as the fingertips lift. Take an inhale. And as you exhale, just round the back and bring your elbows down towards your belly button, chin to chest. Inhaling, lifting up, elbows slide forwards and up, shoulders drop down away from the ears. Exhale as you round on in. Lovely. Let's do that once more. So remember, you can keep your palms and your forearms together and just squeeze everything together. You'll still get that stretch. Next time you bring your elbows down towards your navel, let's pause there and just try and press your forearms away from you. So you want to press the little finger edge of your hands down towards the floor, just deepening that stretch between your shoulder blades. Or opening up some space between the shoulders. And then coming back up to center, uncrossing and sweeping the arms all the way in front of the face. Big sweep up, bringing the fingertips to the floor behind you. Fingertips to the floor, lift the chest, slide the shoulders down the back. You can lift the chin if that feels nice, but avoid throwing the head too far back. Beautiful. And then softening off from that stretch, keep the hands where they are so you can uncross the legs. Bringing the balls of the feet to the floor. I'll just come and sit side on. And the knees up towards the ceiling there. So as you inhale, let's sweep the arms up, lift the chest. As you exhale, fingertips reach the floor, and we're going to lift the shins, or one shin, if two are a little bit uncomfortable on the back. Inhaling, toes touch down, arms lift, so get that little balance across your sit bones. Exhale as you lower the arms and lift the shin, or lift the other shin if you're alternating. 2 more times. So remember, you can just alternate the shins if it's a little bit too much, trying to avoid rolling too far back as you lift up. Going to be a little bit of movement. Inhaling. This time as you exhale, we'll bring the fingertips down and either just keep the feet on the floor or lift up through the shins. Lovely. And you might want to hold on around the backs of the thighs, lifting up through the breastbone. See if you can bring your ankles level with your knees there. Lovely. Embrace the wobbles. If we just hold that for 3, 2, and 1. And crossing the legs now the opposite way as you come back to seated. Left shin in front of right shin. Take a moment there just to find again that balance between your sit bones there, the left and the right. And then we'll reach up again, lengthening all 4 sides of the waist as you take an inhale. And exhale, this time we'll twist to the left. So again, one hand directly in front, either the floor or your shin or your ankle, and the other snuggle quite close in behind you. So again, you're not leaning back. Remember that balance between the front and the back of the body. Evenness across your collarbones as you draw the left shoulder back. And chin might be following that back shoulder or just looking towards the side wall. And then the right hand comes across to your thigh or your knee. And we keep the twist as you take the left arm up and overhead. You can keep the gaze up or just drop the gaze towards the floor if that's uncomfortable on the neck today. Trying again to keep that balance between the left and the right. So try not to lift that left knee up. We'll come back to center. And this time it's left arm hooking on top of right arm, or palms and forearms together, whatever works for you. If, eagle arms doesn't work for your shoulders. So again, as the elbows slide away from the chest and up towards the ceiling, fingertips lifting, shoulders drop down. So we'll take an inhale. Exhale as you round the back, elbows coming in towards belly button, chin to chest. Inhaling, elbows slide forwards and up. Shoulders stay down, away from the ears. Exhale as you round the back. Drawing the elbows down. Just once more, inhale. Ooh, this time we'll pause. So remember, you can just have your palms and your forearms together. And again, as you drop the elbows down, think about taking the forearms away from your face. So you're just pressing the little finger edge of your hand down towards the floor. It's not a big move, or certainly it's not on me. Some of you might have more movement in your shoulders than I do there. And it might feel very different on this side. Oh. As you come all the way back through center, letting go of your wrists so you can circle the arms in front of the face, bring the fingertips to the floor behind you, and again, fingertips find the floor, pressing the floor away, lifting the chin, shoulders sliding down the back. Beautiful. The hands stay where they are so you can lean into them, and once more uncross the legs. Feet to the floor. And sitting up nice and tall, lifting up through the chest as you inhale, arms sweep up. And as you exhale, fingertips find the floor. A little rock back as you lift the shin or one shin. Lovely. Inhale, toes touch down. So a little bit of movement, a little bit of balance across the sit bones. Both shins or other shin lifting. We'll do that twice more. So it's going to be a little rocking back and forth as we play with this boat pose, but try and avoid leaning too far back. And if it's too much, lifting both legs, lift one and the other. So as you bring the fingertips down, we'll lift the shins. And if that's too much today, you can keep the toes down and just lift up through the breastbone. Option to hold on around the backs of the legs, lifting up through the center of the chest. Option to extend the arms out with the palms up. Breathe. Beautiful. See if you can hold for 5, 4. Hope no one had a big breakfast. 3, 2, and 1. Bring the feet down. Just hold on around your knees and just lean back, straightening the arms, getting a nice stretch between the shoulder blades. Beautiful. And then as you come up to seated, we'll just tuck the feet to one side and find your way onto all fours. Middle of the mat, so there's space in front of you and space behind you. Spread the fingers nice and wide. Hands under shoulders, knees under hips. And for a moment, just find that lovely flat back. So as they're pressing down with the hands and lengthening forward through the crown of the head, tailbone back behind you, nice long spine. A little bit of drawing up through the center there. And let's begin to open the front and the back of the body now. As you inhale, dip the belly, tailbone lifts, heart draws forwards. And as you exhale, we round up like an angry cat, dropping the gaze. So as you roll with the breath, you maybe want to close your eyes here, just visualizing that balance between the front body getting that delicious stretch as you inhale and creating more space across the upper back between the shoulder blades, around the lower back as you exhale. And see if you can keep the shoulders balanced on top of your wrists, particularly when you exhale. I've got a tendency to begin to lean back. So see if you can find that balance between all of those 4 points of contact you have with the floor, your hands and your knees, and your joints stacked, shoulders, elbows and wrists. Let's do that once more. And then we'll come back to that lovely tabletop position, lengthening forwards through the crown of the head, back through the tailbone. We're going to add a little bit of movement here. So as you inhale, let's tilt the tailbone up, chest draws forwards. And this time as you exhale around the back, slide your hips back towards your heels so we come into a lovely child pose. Keep moving with the breath. As you inhale, heart pulls forwards, back onto all fours, little arch. Exhale as you round, come all the way back and down, lovely. Do that a couple more times, so inhale, lovely. And exhale, so last time, and we'll all meet in that child pose. So inhale, heart draws forwards, a little softening of the elbows. And we'll come back into that child pose, settling yourself down, maybe a little wobble of the hips from side to side, extending out through the arms. And take a couple of breaths there. We tend to think about breathing into the front of our body, the chest and the belly, being moved more obviously by the breath, but the lungs sit quite far back in the body. So see if you can move into the back and the sides of the body now, balancing out the breath, not just the chest and the belly, but the upper back, lower back might move a little bit, side ribs expand, whole of the diaphragm, moving with each inhale and exhale. Now from that point of balance, we'll nudge our hips over to the left and walk both hands over to the right, taking ourselves to an asymmetrical pose here. So hands might be shoulder width, you might rest one hand on top of the other there. If you are resting one hand on top of the other, just try and drop that left shoulder down so both armpits are open up to the floor beneath you. And visualize, if you can, breathing into that left lung space. And trying to keep the hip bones glued back towards your heels, so that left hip bone, left sit bone sitting back towards left heel. As you make that lovely C shape through the spine. And then we'll come back to that symmetrical child pose, hands coming forwards, hips reaching back, balancing things out before we nudge hips to the right. And both hands come over to the left this time. Again, hip width or one on top of the other, but again, just squaring up your chest by dropping that right shoulder. Hands press forwards, hips draw back. So this time it's that right lung you can almost visualize. Receiving and releasing the breath. Opening up some space in those little muscles between the ribs, our intercostal muscles, getting a nice stretch there. Lovely, and then we'll walk the hands back through center, drawing hands back under shoulders as you come back onto all fours. Finding that lovely tabletop with your gaze forwards. You're going to slide the right leg back, ball of foot to floor, and extend the left fingertips forward, so left arm is straight. Option to stay there, or lift shoulder and hip height. Reaching forwards through the fingertips, pushing that right heel back behind you, keeping the gaze forwards, and then lowering down, hands and knees under shoulders and hips. Other side, so left leg, ball of foot to floor. You might just bring the fingertips to the floor, or lift up, palm in, thumb up, gazing forwards, firming up through the belly. Beautiful. And then bringing everything back to all fours. Sitting back into that child pose, we're going to add on those two movements that we've just done. So as you inhale, extend left arm, right leg as you come back onto all fours. And as you exhale, coming back into that child pose, landing hands and knee, hips to heels. Inhaling, right arm, left leg, smoothly extend opposite directions. Exhale as you come back onto fours and back into that child pose. So moving with the breath now, changing sides, left arm, right leg, extending back and forwards before you find that child pose. And then smoothly changing sides. So a little bit of balance here, not just physically, but also balancing each side of the body, working that deep lateral muscles that run alongside the spine. One more with the left arm, right leg. And last time, if you're with me, with that right arm, left leg, smoothly extending. You might notice one side's more wibbly wobbly or in that child pose. Beautiful. So as you come up, left arm, right leg, and we're going to pause there. Reaching forwards and back. Bringing navel up towards spine like a press stud as you take the arm and the leg out on a diagonal. Little movements, deliberately challenging yourself, coming all the way back through center. And you might now bend that back knee, toes point up towards the ceiling. Turn that front palm away from you, reaching back. See if you can take hold of the top of your foot. As you push your foot into your hand, you take your chest and your shoulders forwards. If that's too much, if your foot seems to have gone AWOL, then just bring the hands down and put your toes up towards the ceiling there. But if you found your foot, a little bit of resistance, foot pushing back, hand resisting, opening up through the front of the hip and the shoulder. Beautiful. Slowly, slowly, hand comes down. All of that right foot comes to the floor. You're going to pick up your left shin and just flick it behind you. So you roll to the inside edge of your right foot. And we'll take the right arm up towards the ceiling. Coming into that little side plank, reaching up, hips press forwards, take an inhale. And as you exhale, arm extends overhead, lifting ear towards upper arm. And see if you can find that lovely sense of stretch from your fingertips all the way down to the outer edge of that foot. Beautiful. Looking down as you roll your way back onto all fours. Hands coming back under shoulders, knees under hips. Inhale, lift the head, lift the heart. And as you exhale, rounding back into that child pose. Lovely. Inhale, coming back up, this time right arm, left leg, smoothly extending. So we're on opposite arm and leg. I had an interesting one on Friday when I kept getting my lefts and rights confused. So hopefully we're on different arm and leg now. Looking forwards as you challenge yourself, taking the arm and the leg out on a slight diagonal there. Ooh, come all the way back through center. So we bend the back knee, toes to ceiling. Turn the front palm away from you so you can scoop it back and seeing if you can take hold around the front of the foot. Push the foot into the hand, open up through the chest. That doesn't work for you, hands down, just lifting up the toes towards the ceiling, or even just bringing the ball of the foot to the floor and open up through the back of the knee. If you're with me, we've got the gaze forwards, chest forwards. Beautiful. And then slowly, slowly, hand comes down, extend the leg, ball of foot to floor. So this time we flick the right shin behind us, rolling to the inside edge of that left foot as you reach the left arm up, hips press forwards, take an inhale as you reach up. Exhale, taking that arm overhead, just making sure the neck doesn't droop there, so lifting your ear towards your upper arm. You get that lovely sense of space and stretch through the side of the body. Lovely. And as you look down, let's come all the way back down onto all fours. Lovely. You might want to just give your wrist a little bit of a twirl there before we venture up into a downward dog. And if downward dog isn't for you today, then just stay on all fours. Oh, no, we're not coming into downward dog. We're doing something else. We're going to tuck the toes under. How could I forget this delicious one? Then tuck the toes under and walk your hands back towards your knees. So you end up sitting on your heels with your toes tucked. If that is truly excruciating on your feet, flatten your feet and just sit back on your heels, or even just swing your legs out and come to a seated position. If you've got your toes tucked under, invite your little toes into the party. Make sure that they're getting a beautiful stretch as well. Ah, doesn't that feel good? Let's interlace the hands, sweep the arms all the way up towards the ceiling. Take an inhale. And as you exhale, drop the arms chest height, chin to chest. And you might even be able to lean back a little bit, stretching out through the fascia of the feet. Doesn't that feel delicious for your feet? Ooh, all the way up with the arms. Beautiful. And then we'll bring the hands down to the floor, untuck the toes, and give them a little bit of a flap. It's a good job I couldn't hear you then. It's one of those Marmite poses. I love that, but not everyone does. If you can, toes tuck one last time, walking hands back to knees, but this time we're going to pick up your knees and come into a little squat at the end of your mat. If that doesn't work for you, just lift your hips, knees bent, and come into a forward fold. We'll all meet you there. Be with me in that little squat. Nice one to stretch out through the Achilles, strengthen the feet. And come up into a forward fold. 3 breaths to get us there. So as you inhale, start to lift the hips, lowering the heels, maybe keeping a deep bend in the knee. And as you exhale, pick up the heels and sit back down into that little squat. Twice more as you inhale, maybe coming up a little higher, legs a little straighter as the heels drop. Crown of the head lowers. And then as you exhale, pick up the heels, back down into that little squat. This time we'll all push the hips up, coming into that forward fold, landing the heels, maybe a generous bend in the knees. You might want to cradle the elbows. And if it feels nice, you might want to sway from side to side. If that doesn't work for you this morning, then just rest the arms in front of you. Any back issues? Lift your chest and just bring your hands onto your thighs there. Beautiful. And then letting go of the elbows, bringing the body to stillness. We'll slide the hands up the front of the legs, shins or thighs. So you can press the hands against the legs, powering the chest forwards as you lift up halfway. Crown of the head forwards, tailbone lengthening back. Take an inhale. Exhaling back down into that fold, crown of head to floor. Twice more, finding that halfway lift. So that lovely point of balance with the front body, halfway between the sky and the earth. Exhale as you come all the way back down. Last time. Inhaling, coming into that lovely flat back, shoulders away from ears, long neck. As we come back down into that forward fold, bend the knees generously. Chin stays tucked in as you slowly, slowly, slowly roll your way up. Taking your time. Beautiful. I'm going to do some sun salutes here. So coming to the top of your mat, I'm just going to adjust the camera so you're all able to see me. I'll start mirroring you now. And we're going to be moving the right leg back first. So making sure you've got some space behind you. So before we begin, let's find that balance across your feet. So again, really important during this season of movement and air that we feel grounded. So take a moment to find 4 corners of your feet, inner and outer edge of each foot, planting firmly down. And from there, as you bring your hands to your heart, think about lifting your breastbone to meet your thumbs. So the whole of the front body elongates and opens. It's not a back bend, it's a lengthening. Here we go. Let's start with 3 glorious deep breaths. So as you bend your knees, sweep the arms out and up, inhaling, lengthening through the sides of the waist. Exhaling as you draw the hands to the heart, breastbone meets thumbs. That lovely lengthening through the front body. Twice more. Deep knee bend. Inhale, ground down through the feet as you lift up. Exhale, keep that lift as you bring the hands down to the heart. Lovely. Just once more. Inhale, big rise up from the feet. Exhaling, hands to heart. Here we go. Let's add on. Deep breath in. Inhale. Press the floor away as you reach up with the arms. And this time as you exhale, we'll come into that forward fold. So the arms might gracefully extend out to the side. Inhaling, finding your halfway lift. Hands to shins or thighs. As you exhale, plant the hands and step the right leg back, lowering the knee to the floor. So right leg comes back. Lovely. Inhaling, sweeping the arms up. And exhaling, once more, hands draw down to the heart. Keeping breastbone nestled in towards your thumbs. Inhale, lift up. And as you exhale, take a little twist to the left. And so the thumbs are still in the middle of your chest. We've got the option to stay there or release the arms. The right arm comes across the body. Left arm wraps behind. So you can gently press that left knee or thigh against the back of the hand. So you're keeping that knee squeezed out towards a little toe edge, opening up through the chest. Lovely. Coming all the way back through center. Inhale, reaching up. And as you exhale, this time hands frame your front foot, fingertips to the floor. Inhale as you lift the chest. This time as you exhale, let's slide the hips back, coming into a nice hamstring stretch. Foot might stay on the floor or toes might lift. Inhaling, Chest comes forwards, bending that front knee. Exhale, straightening the left leg. Toes might peel up or foot might stay flat. Once more, inhale, chest comes forwards. As you slide the hips back, try to keep the chest open, gazing forwards. Inhale, bending that left knee. And as you exhale, let's come back onto all fours, sliding that left knee back underneath the hip. Inhaling, lift the head, lift the heart. And as you exhale, hips to heels, as you come back down into that child pose, keep the arms out nice and long. Inhaling back onto all fours, but this time as you exhale, continue to roll the body down to the floor. We'll take the hands off the mat, nice and wide, space for the shoulders. Find that balance, press down into the tops of your feet, heavy through the hips, and as you inhale, light through the chest as you come up into that little cobra, looking gently forwards. Exhale as you lower down, lengthening the chest and the belly to the floor. Twice more, shoulders away from ears. Inhale, heavy through the hips and lightness through the front of the body. Exhale as you lower down. So you might widen your arms even more if the shoulders feel tight today, just to afford yourself some more space as we do that one last time. As you exhale and lower, bring the hands alongside the shoulders. Inhale back onto all fours. Tuck the toes under, lift the hips, downward facing dog. The first round, let's pause here for a breath or so. So you might want to have that little pedal out through the feet, maybe a little wiggle of your hips, a shake of your head. Just find that form of your downward dog, find that shape, hips nice and high. And as you just settle into that shape of your downward dog for a breath or two, there might be a generous bend in your knees, so you can send your rib cage back towards your thighs, offer your hips up and back, gazing wherever feels comfortable for the neck. And find that balance between all 4 points of contact, and hands pressing forwards and down, hips lengthening back, heels lengthening back. And then shifting the weight into your left foot, right leg lifts up and back as you inhale. And as you exhale, step or help it forwards, top of the mat, drop the back knee. Inhale, reach the arms up, so all of that with the right leg forwards. Exhale as you bring the hands down to the heart, breastbone to thumbs. Inhale as you lift the chest. Exhale as you take that little twist to the right this time. So you've got the option to stay there, or hands come across the body, left hand comes to the outer thigh or knee, other hand wraps behind, so open across the collarbones. Pressing the knee against the back of your hand there, so that knee is rolling in, you're keeping it tracking towards the little toe edge of your foot. Beautiful. Coming back through center, inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, fingertips find the floor. Lifting the chest as you inhale. Exhale, hips draw back, so again, you might lift your toes as you sink the hips back. Inhale, chest comes forwards as you bend that front knee. Exhale as you rock back, finding space in the hamstring. Lovely. Just once more, inhale. And exhale, ready to change. So as you inhale, plant that right foot, pick up the back knee. And as you exhale, step both feet forwards, coming to the top of the mat. Bend in the knees, you rise up to stand. Inhale, sweep the arms all the way out and up. Exhale as you draw the hands down to the heart. Lovely. 3 big breaths. Inhale, bend the knees, sweep the arms all the way out and up. Grow really tall. Keep that length and height as you exhaling, hands to heart. Lovely. Twice more. So powering up from the feet. Hands to heart. Exhale. Lovely. Last time, then we're going to do that little sequence with the left leg. 1 movement, 1 breath. Ready for that little forward fold next time. So inhale, power up from the feet, rise up through the arms. And as you exhale, draw the chest forwards and down as you come into that forward fold. Finding that halfway lift as you inhale. And this time as you exhale, left leg steps back, knee coming down to floor. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale as you drop the hands down to the heart, thumbs to breastbone. Inhale, lift up through the chest. And as you exhale, take a little twist to the right. So you're turning towards the knee. Hands come across the body, other hand wraps behind. Just pressing the back of the hand against the knee, knee against the back of the hand, turning the upper back. Come all the way back through center. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, fingertips find the floor, ready for that little hamstring stretch. So inhale, lift the chest. As you exhale and shift the hips back, try and keep the chest forwards. Inhaling, chest rolls forward, so we're getting a nice stretch in the front of the left hip. Exhale as you sink the hips back. Lovely. Maybe the toes lifting now. Inhaling. And exhale, ready to add on this next time. So inhale, planting that right foot. And as you exhale, sliding both knees back underneath hips. Inhale, lift the head, lift the heart. Exhale, back into that child pose, hips. Slide back to heels, back onto all fours. Inhale, rise up with the breath. Exhale as you lower yourself down. And maybe the hands stay alongside the shoulders this time. Maybe you want to take them wider apart. 3 cobras. So inhale, heavy through the hips, light through the chest. Avoid throwing the head too far back. Exhale as you stretch the front body down. Beautiful. Twice more. So they might be much smaller movements. My back's okay, but any back issues, you might be perhaps taking a Sphinx pose or making the move much smaller. Once more. So keep lengthening into the tops of the feet, pressing them down as the front body lifts. Hands alongside the shoulders this time. Inhale onto all fours. Tuck the toes under. Exhale up and back into a downward dog. Finding again that weight even across the hands and the feet. That uplift of your hips as the rib cage is offered back towards your heels. This time shifting the weight into your right foot. Left leg lifts as you inhale. And as you exhale, step that left foot forwards, top of the mat, dropping the back knee. Ready for that little twist. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Hands to heart, exhale. Breastbone meets thumbs, inhale. As you twist, think about keeping the thumbs towards your heart center. So you've got the option to stay there. Or again, we separate the hands, one in front, coming across the body, the other just on your lower back. So we're trying to keep the hips more or less square to the front, so we're getting that wringing out through the upper and middle back. Slowly releasing back to center. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhaling, fingertips to floor. Inhale, keep the gaze forwards. Exhale, slide the hips back, so again, toes might lift. Ooh, one side might feel different. Inhale, come forwards. We're not butterflies. Body isn't symmetrical, so you might find that one side feels far stiffer than the other. Just once more. So inhaling and exhaling, drawing that left hip back. Inhale, plant the foot, pick up that back knee, look forward. So as you exhale, step into a forward fold at the top of the mat. Big knee bend as you rise all the way up, inhaling. Hands to heart, exhale. So we're going to do one more round, but with an addition. So option to do exactly as we've just done, or adding on with me. Bend the knees, sweep the arms up. Inhale, here we go. Exhale all the way forwards and down. Inhale as you lift the chest halfway. This time as you exhale, right leg steps back, knee to floor. So it starts the same. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, draw the hands down to the heart and pause. So we've got the option to take that little twist, wrapping one hand behind, one in front as we've just done, or shift the weight forwards and turning the chest, hook right elbow over left thigh. So some of you might be spinning your thumbs towards your heart. Some of you, it might be a little bit lower, depends on how open we are in the chest. Think about lifting and lengthening the belly forwards, turning towards the left there, option to stay there, or lift that back knee, draw that left hip in and back, and spin the chest towards your thumbs there. Lovely. As you look down, bring both hands down, frame the foot. Option to drop the back knee, take an inhale. And as you exhale, straightening both legs, hips draw up and back into a pyramid, gazing towards back heel. Inhale, bend the front knee. And as you drop that right hip, the knee stays straight. Exhale all the way up and back. Lovely. So once more, inhale. So that right knee, if you can, doesn't touch the floor. Chest comes forwards. Exhale. Lovely. This time as we inhale, let's step, come forwards, chest comes forwards, and slide that leg back, this time coming into a plank pose. If that's not for you, come onto all fours. And from that plank pose, find again that lovely balance. Press down through the hands, back through the heels, forwards through the crown of the head, Navel meeting spine. Woo, inhale. And as you exhale, lower yourself down. Knees might kiss the earth before the rest of you does. Flatten the feet. And this time take the hands behind you, interlacing the hands. Press down through the tops of the feet. Begin to draw the knuckles back, lifting up through the chest. So find again that heaviness through the hips, lightness through the chest. Take an inhale. Exhale as you lower, turning the head to one side. Let the body release. Inhale again, draw knuckles, draw back. Gazing just forwards of you. Exhale, turning the head to the other side. Lovely, just once more, inhale. Pressing down through the tops of the feet. This time as you exhale, release the hands alongside the shoulders. Inhale onto all fours. Exhale as you tuck the toes, lift the hips, downward facing dog. I'm going to do that, all of that, the other leg leading. So right leg lifting this time, inhale. Exhale as you step or help it forwards, top of the mat, dropping the back knee. Inhale as you rise up with the arms, ready for that little twist. Exhaling, hands to heart. So knowing you can do exactly as we did before, take a little twist, separate the hands, or shift the weight forwards, and this time it's left elbow hooks over right thigh. And we press the palms together so you can really lift the belly away from the thigh, bringing thumbs towards heart center. Option to stay there, or I like to look down for balance, so I lift that back knee. And make sure you've not popped that right hip out, so draw that right hip back as you take that little twist. Wobbly, wobbly on this side. And then as you look down, hands frame the front foot. Option to drop the back knee or keep it lifted. Inhale, chest forwards. Exhale, hips draw up and back, stretching that back heel away. Inhale as you lower the chest, keeping that left knee from the floor if you can. Exhale all the way back into that pyramid. Lovely. Just once more. Inhale. Bending that front knee, chest offwards, forwards. Exhaling all the way back. Lovely. Inhale as you bend that front knee. And as you exhale, step both feet forwards, coming to the top of the mat. Big press through the feet. Inhale as you rise up. Exhaling, hands to heart. Maybe just close the eyes for a moment. As you close the eyes, or just simply keep the eyes open, but just feel, again, that sense of grounding, finding that balance through the breath. After the movement comes the stillness. Easy breaths, bringing the breath back under that conscious control. And keeping that sense of steadiness with the breath now. Let's take one last deep breath here together. Inhale as you bend the knees, sweep the arms up. Exhaling back down into that forward fold. Heart drawing forwards, crown of head to floor. Finding that halfway lift as you inhale. This time as you exhale, plant the hands and step back into down dog. This time taking the feet a little wider apart. So as you drop that down onto the knees, knees may be wider than hips. Big toes point towards one another. Sit back towards the heels. And reach the arms forwards or rest one hand on top of the other. Elbows nice and wide, making a little platform for your forehead to rest upon there. And so finding again that balance across your hips, across your sit bones. So maybe again a little wobble back from side to side there. Arms lengthening forwards, or making that little support for the head. And allow again a sense of balancing out the movement through the front body with each breath, with the back and the sides of the body. Lovely. If you've got your arms bent, feel free to stretch them out. In front of you now, as you just thread one arm underneath the other. It really doesn't matter which side you're going to first, if you wish. If it's more comfortable to keep the arms outstretched, feel free. If you're taking one arm underneath, just settling yourself down, turning the head. Trying to keep that balance across your sit bones there, so not leaning too far into one side or the other, so we're feeling a little stretch between the shoulder blades and into the inner thigh. And then slowly changing arms. Other arm threads underneath, again, just coming onto the side of the head there, settling yourself down, shoulders away from ears. Weight even across your heels there, so we're feeling that little stretch on the inner thigh. and around the upper back. Lovely. And then reaching both arms forwards. One last lovely stretch to the sides of the body before you walk your hands back towards your knees. And we'll just pick up the knees so you can point them forwards. Drop the hips to one side. Swish the legs out in front. And then sitting in the middle of your mat, we'll just bring the heels in towards your bottom. And ease your way down onto your back. Lovely. I'm just going to adjust the screen there. So bringing your heels close down to your bottom. Knees facing forwards and parallel there. And arms down alongside you, lengthening fingertips towards your heels. So coming into a little bridge pose. So pressing down evenly through all four corners of the feet, lifting up through the hips, trying to keep the knees facing forwards and parallel. You might want to just pick up your head and slide it a little ways back there so you can find that length and space through the front body as you lift the chest and lift the hips. And then slowly, slowly, let's roll the spine down vertebrae by vertebrae. I'm going to add the breath. So as you inhale, press down through the feet, up with the hips, keeping the weight even through the four corners of the feet. And as you exhale, a little tuck of the tailbone up and under as you roll your way back down, lengthening tailbone down between your heels. One more like that. Inhale, pressing down through the feet, up with the hips. Exhale as you lower. Option to continue like this or add the arms. So as you inhale, both arms this time, lengthen up and back. Getting that lovely stretch through each side of the body. And as you exhale, seeing if you can bring your hips and your hands down at the end of that exhale, balancing movement with breath. Once more, inhale, up with the hips, back with the arms, press down through the feet. And exhale, slowly lowering down. Settling the hips down, we'll bring your right knee in towards your chest now, giving it a little squeeze. Softening the shoulders, keeping the neck nice and long as you hold on around the back of the leg and take the leg up towards the ceiling. And we normally do hamstring stretches at the beginning of a practice. So at the end, maybe feels a little bit more comfortable there. If you want to turn the foot a couple of times, hopefully the leg's a little bit warmer than at the start of a practice. Lovely. And what we're going to do next might not suit everyone's hips or knees, so feel free to bring both feet to the floor and do our little bridge flow we've just done. If hips and back are okay, hook your right ankle over your left knee and then gently press that right knee open, keeping the foot flexed, hands come down to the floor. So ready for that little bridge flow that we've just done, hands might stay down or moving the arms. As you inhale, lift the hips, maybe the arms lift up and back, trying to keep it balanced across the front of the hips. Exhale, lower down, so we're really working that supporting leg while stretching the front of the right hip. Twice more, inhale if it's uncomfortable. Simply lower both feet to the floor and do that little bridge flow we did at the beginning. Lovely, one last time, trying to keep that right knee squeezed out to the right, all the way up. And all the way down, lowering, lowering, lowering. As the hips drop down, take that right leg once more, all the way up. And then cross right thigh over left thigh. Again, if it's uncomfortable, simply bring both feet to the floor. Arms out level with the shoulders, turning the palms up. Then nudge your hips over to the right. And then drop the knees over to the left. So as you come into that little twist, if this is pulling on the back, simply separate the legs, bringing your knees and ankles together. So let's take the strain out of the back or the hip if it's uncomfortable. You might pick up your head and look over that back arm, your right arm. You might draw the knees up a little closer towards your chest to deepen the twist. Or conversely, slide the knees further away from you if that feels more comfortable. Just feeling that movement traveling up the spine, particularly if you brought your knees close up towards the chest, you'll feel that twist a little bit higher up the spine there. Easy breaths there. bringing the head back to center. Let's bring the knees back to center. Uncrossing the knees, so you can once more just bring your hips back to the middle of the mat, heels just tucked in by your sit bones. Bring the arms down alongside you, palms down, fingertips lengthening towards heels. Let's take a balancing bridge here. So you inhale, reaching both arms back, lifting both hips. And as you exhale, lowering down, and then we'll try the other side. So as your hips touch down, this time it's the left knee. We bring in and give a little squeeze. Opening up some space around the back of the hip, and then we'll hold on around the back of the leg. Hamstrings are tight today. Just keep the hands quite low down towards your bottom. Some of you might have the hands up a little higher. Avoiding the knee joint itself as perhaps you just turn the foot a couple of times each way. Just opening up some space in the ankle. And again, option to bring both feet to the floor and just do that little bridge flow we've just done. Or this time hooking left ankle over right knee. Gently press the knee out to the side. Trying to keep the knee open as you bring the arms down, ready for that little bridge. So inhale as you lift the hips. You can reach the arms back or keep the hands on the floor. And as you exhale, slowly lower down. So you might feel more wibbly wobbly on one side than the other. Again, we're not creatures of symmetry. So we'll do that twice more, trying to keep that knee offered out. So we're working the back of the right leg, opening up through the front of the left hip. So last time, inhaling, and to press down evenly through the foot. As you exhale and come all the way down, lowering the hips. So this time it's the left leg we cross over the right. So if you can, cross above the knees, there's no daylight. Arms out level with the shoulders. Nudge the hips an inch or so over to the left before you drop the knees to the right this time. Maybe rolling the head. Let's look over that back arm. And again, you can pick up your knees and bring them closer in towards your chest or slide the feet further away from you. So just deepen the angle at the top of the hip there. One side might require a little bit of different treatment than the other. Easy with the breath. Lovely. And then slowly head comes back to center, knees come back to center, separating the legs so the feet are both to the floor. Bring your hips to the middle of the mat there. Heels close to sit bone, arms down alongside you. This time keeping the hands down as you inhale. Let's come up into that one last bridge. So arms down alongside you this time. Then you might want to snuggle the shoulder blades underneath you, tucking them in so you can interlace the hands. As you interlace the hands underneath you, we've got that opposing energy of pressing the hands down as you lift the hips up. Making sure the knees don't roll out to the side, keep pressing into the base of the big toe. Option perhaps to lift your heels here, getting even more height across the front of the hips. And as you bring the arms out alongside you now, you might keep the heels lifted as you begin that final rolling down through the spine. And when the hips touch down, stretch out the legs one at a time. Reach the arms back so you're finding that lovely sense of balance now in that full body stretch as you point the toes forwards, reaching back through the fingertips. Breathing into all four corners of the body there. As you slowly lower the arms down alongside you, turning the palms up towards the ceiling, just allowing your feet to come hip width apart, the heels resting in, the toes resting out. And if you need to do anything else before you come into that little posture of relaxation, feel free to do so. And of course, if lying outstretched doesn't work for you, then just bring your heels back in towards your bottom. If you're in a cooler room now and you want to just pop a jumper on or a blanket on, feel free to do so. And as you settle into whatever posture you've chosen, take a moment, maybe a little bit of movement to find that balance across the back of the body now. So the very middle of the back of your head resting easily on the floor. A balance across your shoulder blades. Leaning too far into the left or the right, so Take a moment there just to settle into the upper back. And then the same across the lower back. Are you even across the lower back, or pressing perhaps more heavily into one hip or the other? And see if you can address any imbalance there now. If you've got your knees bent and your feet on the floor, make sure again the weight is even between the left and the right foot. And if the legs are outstretched, just finding that evenness of weight between both heels. And with the body now in that sense and state of balance and equilibrium, see if you can come back to that balance with the breath now. Receiving that inhale, that component of the breath which helps to rejuvenate, re-energize, recharge us for the week ahead. But balancing that with a slow and deep and sustaining exhale just helps release any tension we might be holding from the previous week. Letting go of the shoulders, softening the face. So the body and the breath are in that state of equanimity. And the more that we can return to this state of balance, balancing movement with breath, balance between the inhale and the exhale, perhaps we're better equipped to face whatever knocks the week ahead might have us, those knocks and challenges which threaten every day to knock us slightly off balance. And they will. Knowing that we can return to this state of balance, equanimity, equilibrium. And just pausing for a moment to focus on our breath. Inhaling to receive the breath. And exhaling to release the breath. Just enjoying now, just a few more breaths in your own pace, your own rhythm, your own thoughts. So beginning to give a little bit more energy now to that part of the breath which helps to rejuvenate us. So that inhale becoming a little bit stronger. Gathering in, drawing in what we need to get us through the week ahead. Whatever challenges might come our way. And goodness knows there are many of those at the moment, aren't they? Let's perhaps explore that full body stretch again if you're comfortable to. Reaching the arms back, stretching out through the legs. Finding the space behind you, space in front of you, space above you. And then when you're ready, lowering the arms, walking your heels back in towards your bottom, and then just bringing in the knees towards your chest. And sometimes it's quite nice just to linger in stillness there, but sometimes the back kind of wants a little bit of movement, maybe a circling of the knees or a rocking gently side to side. Again, just intuitively moving. body and the back wishes. If you are circling the knees, make sure again you balance that out in both directions before you bring your feet to the floor. Rolling carefully onto one side. Take your time. Before joining me in a comfortable seated position. Again, I'm sitting cross-legged, but you never have to join me in that way. And whatever position the legs are in, see if you can find that balance across the left and the right, the front and the back, the up and the down. You've got that lovely sense of balance from your seated position, feeling grounded yet open and lifted through the front of the body. Let's just bring the hands down at the sides of the body, turning the palms up towards the ceiling. Let's take one last glorious inhale, reaching the arms up, lengthening all four sides of the waist. And as you exhale, keeping the breastbone lifted as you bring the hands to the heart, the chin dropping down towards the chest. One of my favourite quotes about autumn. Autumn is a second spring when every leaf is a flower. So enjoy this glorious season. Namaste. Thank you. Thank you for coming this morning. Let me put you on mute.